bit of a walk down sentimental memory flower lane. We're at Brantim Country Garden Center. We just planted a wonderful little herb tufa bowl really, really fast. It's over there to the left. Person saying where? You're pointing to everything. There's so much to look at. And now Joanne Smith is about to take us on a
trip down the garden lane on the farm.
You've taken the odd person on a trip down the garden lane, haven't you? I mentioned these dahlias. They
dinner plate dahlias.
Voluptuous.
And they're spectacular. You know what the staff have been doing? We've been deadheading, and they keep saving all the blooms. And I'm telling you, some of them are like this. A great old-fashioned flower. It looks awesome in a garden. Gives you that big punch in your garden.
And it does. And so fertilize them most definitely. They'll bloom from when until when?
Well, they started blooming actually about a month ago, and they should bloom for you all summer, but we do recommend taking them out of the pot and planting them in the garden. Mm-hmm. They won't last as long in the pot.
And then if you invest in a dahlia, you can use the tubers,
Absolutely.
Take them out in the fall and replant them next spring.
And hang on to them and have another great plant for the garden for next year.
This is when you definitely wanted to talk about other sort of sentimental favorites.
Well,
I know I love the grasses, but they're not a sentimental favorite.
No, they are, but almost a mainstay these days in gardens with the seasons that we've been having. Daisies, a great plant for color. Mm-hmm. And I also want to talk about this simple little marigolds, zinnias.
And the
I mean, look at this container
daisies.
And the little bit of purple osteospermum. They won't fail you, but you do have to do a little deadheading and just maintain them during the summer. But if you do, the color is spectacular.
Oh, I'm not allowed to mention this one because we mentioned this on the last show.
And we're sold out. The Sun Patience.
Sold out, yes.
But we do have them left in containers, so it's not too late, folks, to come out and still do container gardening in your backyard.
But the reason that the Sun Patience took off like crazy is because
it's a new product.
And impatiens that do bloom in the
sun.
In
full sun.
In behind you, there's another old-time classic. See, we're giving people great ideas of what to actually plant together.
Double impatiens, a little bit of blue lobelia, a little bit of English ivy. Simple but beautiful.
Simple but beautiful.
White's like a light bulb. Don't forget that. White's like a light bulb in a garden. It just kind of brightens everything up. All the different colors.
And your favorite whites?
I love white in a garden. Mm-hmm. It's spectacular.
White Cleome.
White Cleome. You love white Cleome.
So am I pushing my favorites
yes,
off on everyone?
Well, you have beautiful gardens.
This is something you wanted to talk about.
Thunderbergia, black-eyed Susan vine, lots of fun, little steak, bloom all summer. Just a really fun, happy little flower. I mean, this is beautiful.
And do you like that in a pot on its own?
Or plant it in the garden and let it crawl up a fence, a trellis, anything. They're spectacular. And they do come in orange also.
Okay, that's good to know. You've thrown a hosta into this container with all of the other, is that heliotrope?
Heliotrope. You know what heliotrope is. The fragrance is magnificent. Get back into the fragrant garden, too, because sitting outside and smelling that just puts you in a different place.
Now, this is a fern that takes more sun.
It does. It's the Kimberly Queen. It does take quite a bit of sun. So this container would be great for sun until about noon, 1 o'clock, maybe in 2. But I use the hosta in here for texture to just give the different dimension to the whole container. Plus, you can pop it out in September, put it in your garden, and you got a great plant for next fall.
Which is great. And if you have hosta growing, just divide it, use it as a filler. You'll save a little bit of money.
Exactly. Dig them up, use them in your containers. They're amazing, and I have a lot of people that do that too.
And what about this? This is a
Strobilanthus.
I've never seen this before.
I know it is, and it's very popular. Just a nice foliage plant to add a different color to pick up the other purples in here. Hard to get. But we do have some here.
Okay, and what is this?
Bacopa.
What's the copa?
It's a white trailing plant. It's the, we talked about fillers, thrillers, and spillers. It's a spiller. In the dead heat of the summer, you will lose your white blooms a little bit, but they will come back as the season progresses and it does cool down a little bit.
Now, we're going to come back and help with the maintenance, because it's one thing to know what to plant. It's another thing to have a great kitchen garden, but if you don't know how to care for it,
right,
then you're
wasting
your money and your time.
This has been a real challenge, so we'll talk about that next.
Now let's go back to Leanne one last time. I'm going to start taking notes as she tells us more that's happening at the Brantim Country Garden Center.
That is timeless. Just
just like Joanne Smith. She's timeless. Brantim Country Garden Center is where we are today because we want to set you up for complete success with your containers. There is no point buying something that's so beautiful and voluptuous like this only to take it home and then in a couple of weeks have disappointment because you didn't know how to look after it properly.
No, you have to water, you have to fertilize, and you have to pinch and prune if you want your baskets to look nice all summer.
Now, a lot of people are shy about the deadheading, but you really do have to be feel like you're a bit cruel in order to be kind for the long haul.
Correct, and I see it all the time in the seminars, and the girls watch me pinch or prune something, and they just about cry, but oh my goodness, it is the answer to having a beautiful container all summer.
Okay, this is a gorgeous combination. What's this called?
This is my English garden, probably the most popular basket in the greenhouse.
Hey.
Lots of color hit there.
Verbena, the peach verbena next to this kind of fuchsia geranium. I wouldn't have
Amazing.
thought of that. I love it.
Actually, it's a little bit of a new twist this year for me, and I'm really liking it.
Oh, I love it because you're a bit twisted. Let's head down.
I'm going to head over and show you how to deadhead a petunia basket.
Okay, as we look up, actually, we can see, I mean, they're almost all so healthy, but the odd ones, especially with lots and lots of water, they need the deadheading, don't they?
Oh, they absolutely do, and especially with wind and anything else, the petunias can really get wind racked, and so you want to keep them shaped, you want to keep them tight, and in order to do that, you have got to fertilize once a week because the petunias love their fertilizer.
Zane was just taking a little tiptoe through all of the other containers on the way here. Yeah, he almost got so distracted by the beauty. So we're back now. Okay, deadheading this petunia.
Yes, what you want to do is, the one thing you don't want to do, and I'm just going to show you quickly, 'cause I'm going to break this off, is if for anybody who thinks that deadheading and just pulling the bloom off and leaving this, that's the wrong thing to do. You want to actually go behind the leaf and pinch off at the stem so you're getting all of that to encourage new growth.
And now this is old news for a lot of people who've been gardening for a long time, but for the new gardeners out there, when you see your petunia, there isn't an example here, but when you see it form a seed, that's where all of the energy is going, which is why it's so important to deadhead.
That's right, because what happens with baskets, and when they're looking their best, they're going, I've done my job, I can quit. So by pinching and pruning, they almost go, oh, got to create some more babies, got to make some more blooms. So if you go around and just kind of pinch it and shape it, oh, I don't know, once, maybe twice through the summer.
And be ruthless.
And just be ruthless, but don't lose all your blooms. Don't get too carried away. And just shape it a bit. You're going to have a beautiful basket all summer.
Now, while you encourage, and we have an after here, this was one that you...
Ben's just going to bring this over,
Ben.
and thanks, Ben. What we did here, we actually took the scissors to this, knocked it down to this high, and 3 weeks later, this is the basket that I have.
Wow.
So it does come back. Don't be afraid to do it.
Now, what happens when your flowers start to look a little bit anemic? Is that too much water?
Oh yeah, overwatering is probably the worst thing you can do. A plant can actually afford to go quite dry and then get a good drink.
And they need to almost sometimes dry out to then come back. I mean,
right.
Otherwise they get moldy.
They will get moldy, and that'll cause disease, and you'll lose your plant.
Okay, we wanted to talk about something else. You shouldn't overwater. I mean, it must be confusing for people because we're saying water, 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 fertilize, fertilize, and then we're saying, but don't overwater. So how much is
Overwatering is the worst.
Yes.
So let your plants go a little bit dry, give them a good drink. But with the herb container, you actually want to let that go more on the dry side because most of your herbs are from countries where it's hot and dry. They like it hot and dry.
Now, speaking of hot, you're hot to trot on the tropicals. Let's
I'm
go
going to
show
take you
some
over
of the
here just for a
tropicals.
second because we talked about the old-fashioned farm flowers, but what's hot this year is tropical. You got that strawberry basket on the counter over here, have it hanging in the backyard, pick off a few, mix yourself a margarita, and have something like this sitting beside you.
See, she isn't just the container queen. She's also the social convener. Okay, these tropicals are beautiful. Rule of thumb, there isn't any in terms of color, is there?
You know, throw it in. The cannas, the hibiscus, the lime ipomea, just the fun colors, make yourself feel good.
And make sure you add some fragrance because I'm still over here smelling the wonderful
the
herbs.
basil, the heliotrope in the hosta container. It all works in your backyard. Makes you feel good.
We came to you to make everyone feel good, to set everyone up for success for their container season. So this was our last field trip to Brantim. So
Correct.
Grow well, grow strong.
Have a great summer.
Have a great summer.